RCON Recon dropped over 70% on Friday with good news. This stock has a small float and it has some very interesting action based on the chart and the news recently. What is going on with RCON, and should you have this on top of your watch list for Monday morning? Gonna break it down right here in this video, so make sure you guys stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Patrick here, and today we're talking about RCON. I actually posted about it on Friday on YouTube on the community section, so if you're not subscribed, you're not going to get that notification. Hit that bell notification. I'm trying to post more often when things are popping off or dropping or interesting plays are playing out during the market hours. RCON, you can see on Friday, dropped from 1750, a high of 1750. This is the hourly candle. It dropped from $14 all the way to a low of $7. So it dropped 50% inside of that hourly candle. What in the world is going on? Wall Street Bets is talking about a possible short squeeze here. You got a small float. They're thinking there's a lot of manipulation. They're calling for hedge fund shorting. Story is that the volume was over 10,000%, the average volume on the low float. You had 122 million shares traded with massive shorting. The volume was low on the initial drop in the morning, and large amounts of shorting occurred at low prices. The borrow desk showed 2,000 or less shares left to short. Remember, 122 million shares were traded. Massive naked shorting must be covered. Wall Street Bets loves to talk about the naked shorting. They love to talk about the manipulation, the hedge funds, and all that. For me personally, I don't try to get too caught up into all that, because at the end of the day, you know, if I'm buying a stock, selling a stock, I'm just trading the chart. I understand that there's news, there's idea that there's naked shorting. I really don't like to become super emotionally like, oh my God, I'm going to destroy the hedge funds for naked shorting. At the end of the day, I'm looking to make money, not just try to prove a point. You can see on the 5-minute chart, the big sell-off, it pulled all the way down here to the 450s, and then we did get a nice little kind of recovery there at the end of the day. I was thinking it was going to go higher up to the $8 area. It did have trouble once again at the 740 area, and then continue to sell back down there to 6. So for Monday, what I will be watching is, number one, that $6 area. We see that there's support there at $6, kind of bouncing multiple times off of that $6 area. After that, really, you know, that $5 area being the next support. So I don't really want to be buying between 6 and 5. I'd want to be buying at 5, or I want to be buying at 6. If 6 can hold, then obviously, you know, that $5 area would be the next support. The problem here with RCON is, like I said, there's something interesting going on. There's something very, very interesting going on. So here's the rebuttal to the idea of RCON, the crash. Now, I did see online people talking about how they were getting text messages, emails, and phone calls from supposedly pump and dump type marketing companies talking about RCON, how they should be buying RCON over the last few weeks. So it's interesting that that was going on, especially that morning when there was a massive pop on the news and then a huge sell-off after that. And that's kind of what this guy talks about, how he's been following RCON for a few months and looked to go short there on Friday. Talked about how IB and Fidelity had no shares to short basically right after the market opened. He talked about how shorts that were already in it short going into Friday, there's a pretty good chance they covered on a 70% drop, because getting 70% on a short is like mind-blowing. Because remember, you know, if you buy a stock for $1 and it goes to $10, that's a 1,000% return. But if you short a stock at $1 and it drops to 0, well, you know, that's a 90, 80% return, 100% return at that point. But the volume, 123 million shares traded, which is 7 times the entire outstanding shares. But 80% of the volume came after 7:30 a.m. and 5 halts when the stock was already trading in the 6s. No pro is going to short a stock after it's already dropped 75% from its peak, not one, period. In the fact, they would have all covered. That's what he's talking about with the shorts. So he discounts the idea that this is an example of naked shorting gone amok. And he talks about how there's a more plausible explanation in the company's SEC filings. RCON Recon is a tiny Chinese company with a long history of accomplishing exactly nothing. They had no growth, merger revenue, no cash, assets. The stock price was in a seller for a very good reason. So he talked about how they started selling stocks via convertible debt and equity sales, enough for 14,500,000 shares, more than 2 times the existing shares. First came to equity and warrant sales of 2.6 million shares for a total of 5.2 million shares at an average cost of 81 cents. And then they sold more for 71 cents per share. So RCON went from 6 million shares in 2018 to 19 million shares by the end of 2020. 14.5 million of those shares were tied up in funds. RCON followed up a prospectus so the owners of the 9.2 million shares could sell them to the public directly into the market. The stock at that point was around $1. On March 18, 2021, they reported 6-month earnings and they were worse than ever. The 10Q couldn't even get the share count right, and the SEC hammered them numerous times for accounting deficiencies. But marvelously, the stock began to rise. As you can see here on the daily chart, you can see December 2020, the price was basically like down there to $1. In March, had a little spike in March and then rallied all the way up here to $17.50. So he is correct about this astronomical price increase on really no good news. And look at that dump. You got this insane move to the upside and then that massive dump as well. So like I said, there's something fishy going on here with RCON. Hey, if you guys enjoy these videos, do me one big favor. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about RCON? And also, if you haven't already, checked out Interactive Brokers. There's a link down below. You can check them out, learn more about the platform, learn more about trading with Interactive Brokers and their app and all that fun stuff. That's who I'm using right now, so check them out. So he talks about how they sold most of the available shares. They had no real news for that insane climb. In order to get the SEC off their back, they announced they were moving operations to the Caymans for a lighter regulatory touch. Finally, they announced that they were investing $3 million in blockchain cryptocurrencies. So looking back at how the stock went up over 1,300% on really no good news, no real good idea. Obviously, momentum traders were trading it. People were buying into it, seeing that meteoric rise from the dollars up there to $10 at that point. And then on Friday, they announced for the first time, really, that they had a contract for $5 million for pumps, which is funny because, The buyers then rushed in, and then the selling began. Massive selling, crushing selling. No shares to borrow, but the selling just came and came and came. 6 halts trying to stop the panic. No shares to borrow, but the selling just continued. He talks about how there's just determined sellers holding a ton of shares, trying to dispose them before the stock went too low. So before you know it, 20 million shares flew by before it even hit $6 an hour later, and there it is now. Millions and millions of shares of RCON back when it was under $1, or they got basically 75 cents below $1. The stock then rallied from basically December all the way till last week, and then got dumped really, really hard. Amazing, actually. Look how insane this is, that it actually popped to $17.50 that morning and then dropped to $6. I've never seen price action like this before. I've honestly never really seen it like this before. I don't know if you guys seen something like this before. I have never seen anything like this before, but look at that. In the morning, it actually squeezed up there to $17.50. They were pumping it, and then they just dumped it. I mean, it was literally just nothing but sell, all the way down here to the $5 area. So the question now is there a possible short squeeze going to happen here on RCON, or is it done because of the two different ideas? You got the idea that you have a small float, a bunch of shorts shorting it on Friday, and then you have the idea that really it was just a massive pump and dump, and all these funds, all these companies, all these funds were dumping those shares onto retail traders there on Friday. That seems like a much more plausible play for me in terms of what happened on Friday. I don't really believe that a ton of shorts were shorting down here at the $6 area. It just doesn't make sense. If you're a short, are you really going to short something that's just dropped 50%? I don't know, guys. I just can't get behind that idea. Either way, I think RCON is definitely a stock that you should keep an eye on Monday, this upcoming week. There's always a possibility, from $6 bounces back up here, $9, $10 area, on just in the idea of people buying the dip. They see a stock like this that's got hammered. They think, okay, I'm going to buy the dip here. It's going to go back up to the highs at some point. There's always that thesis. There's always going to be people who are going to be buying the dip, seeing that the stock is down so much. But to say that there's going to be a massive squeeze back to $18, $20, I don't know if that's actually plausible here. That's, I think Shabooby Shababi or Shagabi Gababi. Who knows? You know, it's it's a whizzy, it's a wazzy. No one really knows at this point. But like I said, I think there's definitely something very interesting going on with the stock. I think there's some serious FUD, some serious pump and dump action going on with RCON, especially like that guy talked about how there was no real news, how the stock went up just huge daily on the daily candle. Look at that thing. It just went higher and higher for months on no news, on nothing other than just pump, 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 pump. And well, here we are. RCON finally got the dump. I would definitely, like I said, keep an eye on this Monday morning. We'll see what happens. I'm going to be watching that $6 area. If $6 can hold, maybe get a possible move back up to the $8 area from there. So we had a high there at $7.50 on this. So after that $7.50 area, we're looking at $8.50, $9 area being our target from there. So from 6 to 8 to 9 would be our target. For support, if $6 can hold, we'll see how if it gaps up in the morning on Monday or if it gaps down. But that $5, $4.75 area would be kind of the bottom and support area. So that's the play. That's the move here on RCON. If you guys haven't already, do me one big favor, hit that like button, subscribe button, all the buttons down below. I'll talk to you guys later on.